807. Want me to play that part? So
Yeah. God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. At no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars are made to worship, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signifier of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty your voice. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch their breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. So will I. So will I. If the stars are made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. If the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praises still fall short, then we'll sing again 100 billion God of salvation, you chased down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak,
10 years ago, there were only 350 of us. I mean, if God could do this through 350 people, just think what he's going to do in the next 10 years. When this group of people here today strap on faith, we will do everything we can to create an environment where people can come and be introduced to Jesus Christ in a way that's understandable, exciting, and relevant to their lives. Why are we doing this? Why? Friends, because people matter to God. And they matter to us more than anything else. And not just people in White Bear Lake, but all over this city and all over this world.
I love that people laugh at the beginning of that video. He's talking about something really serious, but you got a hair thing going on there that's just kind of hard to overlook.
I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, you did the best of what you could. You did fine.
I didn't know what to do. Appreciate that. Hey, welcome everybody to all of our campuses meeting throughout the Twin Cities today. So glad you made it to church on just a rainy, cold May day. I think it's still May, right? Mm-hmm. But glad you made it out today. I also want to welcome those of you who are joining us online as a part of our congregation. We really do know that you're out there wherever you might be today around the nation and world. We just welcome you online as well. And Jason, great to be on stage with you today.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, a little weird.
A little strange. Yeah, we never done it
weird,
before.
but fun. Today is an unusual, you can clap. Go ahead. I know some of you want to. I don't know why, but some of you are like, should we clap or not? So let's just break the ice. But today is kind of an exciting day because I get to share the stage with one of the best teaching pastors in the nation, Jason Strand, and he gets to share it with me, which is a highlight, I'm sure, for you. But you know what we thought we'd do today before people get into your summer routines is just give you a glimpse of what we think is ahead for our church. And it's very exciting, and I think you can anticipate a fantastic summer, fantastic fall, but then beyond that. But before we do that, I want to make a couple personal comments about you, Jason. I hope that's okay if I do that for you.
I don't think I have a choice, so go ahead.
Yeah. But what I said about you being one of the best teaching pastors in the nation is really true. We listen to a lot of speakers, both of us do, hundreds throughout the year. And I can tell you as a church that on any given weekend, we are blessed by receiving some of the best teaching really in the nation and world. And what I love about you is that you're not arrogant about it.
Thank you.
There are some speakers, some unfortunate, yeah, go ahead. That's not always the case with certain speakers, but you're humble. You're devoted to doing your very best under the leading of God's Spirit. And I just want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
for
Bob.
giving it your very best every time you come on this stage. And on a more personal note, you really are one of my very best friends. Yeah. And I don't have many friends. So that's a plus in my column. But really, you truly are. I love what the Apostle Paul said to young Timothy. Timothy was kind of a protege of Paul, and Paul was mentoring him. In the book of Philippians, he wrote this letter, and he said to Timothy, I thank God every time I think of you because of our partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. And I love that word partnership because when you came to our church 12 years ago, I was alone. I felt alone. I wasn't alone, but I felt alone. It can be very lonely leading. And this has been a partnership that I just cherish, and I thank God for. I mean, you know nothing about hunting and fishing.
No, I do not.
Your car is a disaster.
This is true too.
In spite of those huge deficits, I really do thank God.
Yeah.
That you're in my life every single day.
Thank you so much, Bob. I was sharing last night with the church that a few months ago I was at breakfast in White Bear Lake and was having breakfast with a couple staff members, and this guy came and sat down next to us, and as I was leaving, he kind of called me over. He goes, "Young man, come on over here." And he said, "Are you speaking this weekend?" And I said, "No, Bob's speaking this weekend." And he goes, "Oh, thank God." And then he gave the sign of the cross just to kind of double down on the whole thing. He was very grateful. And you know, under normal circumstances, I think I would feel like a little offended by that, or why did you say that? But I thought about it afterwards, and I thought, you know, I love it when Bob speaks. You know, Bob, you gave a message a couple weeks ago on how Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And I went home and told my wife, I said, I am so thankful that our kids got to hear that message. I am so thankful that he's our pastor, willing to speak truth about a topic that can be kind of controversial in our world today. And a while back, I remember someone on staff said to me, you know, they asked me this question, who are you close to on staff? And I have quite a few people on staff that I feel, you know, relatively close to, but I said, you know, this will maybe surprise you, but Bob and I are extremely close. I said, I know he's my boss, and I have that respect for him in that way, but it truly is a great friend, and have had a front row seat to what I believe is one of the best leaders and teachers in America. And I think our church is, let's clap loud for that.
Thank you. But like I said, we enough of that, by the way.
Yeah, move on, come on.
We want to give you a glimpse of what's ahead for the future. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to take a brief look at the past 25 years or so, just really brief. And then about 6 months ago, I asked Jason, just kind of as an experiment, to put together a vision statement, just to try to flex those muscles a little bit, and what our future could look like, what you would think about our future. And what Jason wrote was so inspiring. And then he spoke it to a few of us, and I said, you got to speak that to the church. And so here we are today, and I want to tee this up by telling you a little story, give you a little insight into who we are here. Every spring, Jason and I get a couple other guys, Don Graham and John Alexander, together, and we go off to a cabin for 2 days, and we plan our message topics for the entire year. We just did that a couple weeks ago. Fantastic time. We ask God's Spirit to lead us, and then we go to work, and we plan the entire year of message topics coming ahead. So during those 2 days, we also eat together, laugh together, have a great time, and we take walks just to kind of clear our heads along the St. Croix River Valley. And a few years ago, we were on this walk that we've taken many, many times. And suddenly, Don Graham sees this bird, and he says, look, a red bird. And you, Jason, got all excited and said, that's a scarlet tanager. I said, a what? And he said, it's a scarlet tanager. It's only the second one I've ever seen in my life. They live high up in the trees. You almost never see them. It's one of the nerdiest things I've ever heard anybody say in my life. And then you said, Bob, you're 57. You'll never see another one.
And you have seen one
I have
since that
seen
time.
one since then.
Yes.
I have. But then you pointed at another bird, and you said, that's a warbler. It's a something or other warbler. There's many types of warblers, and you went on about warblers for about 5 minutes. I thought, this is the Cliff Clavin of birds. There's just the funniest
You know, in my
scenario.
defense, when I was 5 years old, yeah, there's no defense, but I'm gonna try. When I was 5 years old, I had this book about birds, and I was really into birds, and I would read about all these different kinds of birds. I have not looked at that book since I was about 5 or 6 years old. I haven't gone bird watching or anything, but it's like it's just etched in my memory. So I was on a walk with my wife just last week, and I stopped dead in my tracks, and I said, Sarah, that's a red-breasted grosbeak. And I had to bring her back to see this bird. I'm like, where did that come from? I don't know.
So I hunt, he's a birder.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. But the point is, when you said, Bob, you're 57, and I'm now 62, and I'm great with my age, by the way.
Good.
I think the subtle message there is I have more past than you do, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about our past, because I think I'm more of an expert on that than maybe you are. And then you're going to talk a little bit about the future. But back in 1991, 28 years ago, is when I came to White Bear Lake out of Penn State University, and we were 350 people. I thought that was an enormous church. 350 people, one campus. Now today, 28 years later, we're a church of 8 campuses, 24,000 people. 10th largest in the nation, according to Outreach Magazine. This Christmas, past Christmas, 59,880 people came to our church. And what's strange about this is I never saw it coming. Wasn't trained for it, didn't plan for it, didn't even really want it. And about 10 years into this, and I've mentioned this before, Jason, you know about this, into leading this church, I became so overwhelmed by it all. So stressed, I couldn't sleep at night. I'd wake up at midnight and just laid awake for 3-4 hours. High anxiety, high stress. I finally just fully surrendered to God. And I thought I had done that, but I guess I hadn't. And in prayer, laying in bed one night, I said, God, I'm miserable. And I'm surrendering my life to you fully. Do what you want to do with my life, but please, in exchange, you got to give me peace. And that was a turning point. And God began to give me, I haven't had total peace about all of this that's happened over the past 28 years, but that was a turning point. So we started with 350 people. 10 years later, in 2001, we were a church of 5,000 people doing 7 services at the White Bear campus, completely out of space. And so a few of us decided to basically risk our careers. And we bought 80 acres here in Lionel Lakes, took out a $30 million loan. And by the way, we'll never do that again. And we built our second campus here in Lionel Lakes, and we have a photograph of that. Shortly after that, I got a call from a dying church in Spring Lake Park. And they said, will you help us? And so, yes, we'll help you out. They had 80 people at the time. The day we opened up or reopened that church, 1,200 people came and overwhelmed that campus. I mean, the police showed up and there was traffic problems. Eventually, Spring Lake Park became so overcrowded that we built the Blaine campus just to kind of offload that. And in 3 years, this Blaine campus went from 0 to